Let us look at the results from the next site. I will click on the right arrow. This is site number 7. This is a very interesting recording which contains discharges from two different motor units. You can see them in the monitor trace. Here is a high amplitude potential. We can see it over here, and it contained only one spike. There were no two time-locked spikes. This is something that we don't want to analyze, yet it has a high amplitude, and therefore we cannot reject it by using an amplitude trigger. And then we have an action potential pair, which is the smaller amplitude spike seen over here, here, or here, and we can also see it over here. So this is what we call a technical interference, which may look like blocking, because sometimes we see an action potential pair and sometimes we see only one spike. So I'm going to look at the all trace window over here so that we can appreciate it better. This is my triggering position. This is my second window. I'm going to raise it a little bit, position it. Now we can see that the white potential crosses both windows. So that generates an interpotential interval which can be used for jitter analysis. When you look at the blue potential, that does not cross the second window. So technically, some people may call it like blocking, but this is not real blocking. This is what we call technical blocking. This is activity from another motor unit where we did not record an action potential pair. Obviously, we don't want to include the activity from this larger spike in analysis. Again, in past, we had to go trace by trace to get rid of such interference. You will notice right away that in this recording, the discharges of the larger motor unit are already shown in blue color, and that's the color associated with traces that are rejected from analysis. We haven't done anything. The system has already rejected those traces. And how did it do that? Well, let's look at our distribution of interpotential intervals over here. We have a nice tight distribution. Here are the data points shown in red. These are the so-called blocks. So that's when the signal crossed one window but not the second one, and it appears like a blocking. So the blocking is indicated by the red color. Here are the traces that were finally accepted for analysis by the system. And we do not see that larger action potential. There is no interference over here. There is no interference on the rising portion of this potential. We do have some activity. If I wanted, I can reject this particular trace using the magic rectangle. These discharges are too far away from my action potential, so I'm not going to remove them. Again, keep in mind that we can reject traces from analysis, but that should be kept to minimum. With over editing, you can easily make an abnormal jitter recording into a normal one. Anyway, the take-home message over here is that we did have this technical blocking, and the system excluded those traces automatically, almost all of them. And the logic behind that is as follows. Let's look at our results. This is site number 7. This was my pair. The jitter in this recording was 8 microseconds. With the jitter being so normal, it's not possible to get physiologic blocking. So any trace that crossed only one window but not the second must be noise interference activity from other motor units. And in this way, the system has automatically rejected the spurious triggers that came from the larger amplitude potential. So this is one way the system automatically does some data editing and saves you time from examining all the traces or editing them in an individual manner.